Hey, Steelers Nation! Welcome back to our channel, where we dive into all the latest news surrounding our beloved black and gold. Today, we've got some big updates on potential trade moves that could shake up our wide receiver core and give our offense the boost it needs. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us keep bringing you the best Steelers content out there. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more exclusive coverage. Let's break down the story. With the NFL trade deadline closing in, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly eyeing three key names to reinforce their wide receiver lineup. Two of these are familiar faces in trade rumors, Mike Williams of the New York Jets and Darius Slayton of the New York Giants. But the real surprise? The third name is one that many thought was off-limits, Courtland Sutton of the Denver Broncos. According to NFL insider Tony Pauline, the Steelers are actively assessing their options, and Sutton's name being back on the radar could be a game-changer. Let's break down what each player could mean for the Steelers and why Sutton stands out as the clear best option. First, let's set the stage. Our division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, recently bolstered their offensive lineup by acquiring Deontay Johnson, yes, our very own former wideout, adding more firepower to their roster. This move has sent shockwaves through the AFC North, and Pittsburgh isn't taking it lightly. With playoff aspirations and division supremacy on the line, the pressure is on to make a strategic move. Adding a reliable, dynamic wide receiver could be just what we need to keep up. George Pickens has been a standout, but the depth behind him has been a concern. Bringing in a proven WR2 to complement him could transform our offense from good to great. Let's take a closer look at each of the potential targets. 1. Mike Williams, New York Jets. Williams is a known playmaker, but his availability might be uncertain. With the Jets picking up momentum after defeating the Houston Texans and Allen Lazard being sidelined with a chest injury, the price for Williams has likely increased. His talent is undeniable, but the cost could be steep. 2. Darius Slayton, New York Giants. Slayton is another intriguing option. Despite the Giants' dismal season with only 2 wins, they're reportedly only willing to part with Slayton if they receive a surprising offer. The catch? He's on a 1-year deal, making him a rental for the rest of the season. This might not align with Pittsburgh's long-term plans unless the price is right. 3. Courtland Sutton, Denver Broncos. This is where things get interesting. The Steelers were rumored to be interested in Sutton during the training camp but couldn't make it happen as Denver pulled him off the market. Now, with the Broncos at a surprising 5-3 and Sutton leading their team with 58 receptions, 377 yards, and 2 touchdowns, it's unclear why Denver would part ways with their top receiver. But for Pittsburgh, this could be the move that puts us over the edge. Sutton isn't just a safe choice, he's the right choice. At 6 feet 4 inches and known for his ability to stretch the field, run precise routes, and be a reliable target in critical moments, Sutton would be a perfect fit opposite George Pickens. His ability to make deep catches and be a threat in the intermediate game would add a new dimension to our offense. Last season, Sutton had 10 touchdown receptions with Russell Wilson throwing to him, showcasing his value in the red zone, an area where the Steelers have been looking for more consistency. Plus, Sutton has 1 more year left on his contract with a cap hit of $20 million, which is hefty but manageable for a team that's serious about contending. The timing couldn't be more crucial. With the Ravens loading up and the Cincinnati Bengals looking dangerous as ever, standing pat isn't an option for Pittsburgh. The Steelers have shown this season that they're willing to take risks, highlighted by their bold hire of Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator, which we'll touch on in a bit. But adding a receiver like Sutton could be the pivotal move that shows the league we mean business. Sutton's arrival would signal that Pittsburgh is all in on a playoff push and ready to go toe-to-toe with anyone in the AFC North. As teams that aim for the Super Bowl know, the biggest moves are often the ones nobody expects. Speaking of unexpected moves, let's talk about Arthur Smith and what he's brought to Pittsburgh. When the Steelers let go of Matt Canada after a tough loss to Cleveland last season, it was clear that internal promotions were off the table. Mike Tomlin wanted a fresh start, and when the Atlanta Falcons parted ways with Smith, the timing was perfect. Smith was officially brought on board on February 2, 2024, and the reactions were mixed. Sure, his tenure in Atlanta wasn't stellar, but we can't ignore the success he had as the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. Remember those seasons when Derrick Henry was unstoppable and Ryan Tannehill looked rejuvenated? That was Smith's doing. His offenses in Tennessee averaged 25.1 and 30.7 points per game, far better than what Pittsburgh had seen in recent years. And guess what? Smith's methods are paying off. Through 8 games this season, the Steelers' offense has shown marked improvements across the board. There's still room for growth, especially in the red zone, but given the injuries on the offensive line and the challenges with two different quarterbacks this season, Smith's leadership has been a game-changer. The Steelers' second half of the season won't be a walk in the park. We've got 6 divisional games, a matchup against a surging Commanders team, and 2 other teams that recently played in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a test of endurance, strategy, and sheer will. But with Arthur Smith at the helm and the potential to add a wide receiver like Sutton, Pittsburgh has a chance to not just survive this stretch but thrive. This isn't just about keeping pace with the Ravens or the Bengals, it's about setting ourselves up for a serious playoff run and reminding the league that the Steelers are always contenders. Steelers Nation, we all know that the Steelers have needed a solid WR2 since the beginning of the 2024 offseason when Deontay Johnson was traded to the Carolina Panthers. Despite rumors and attempts to bring in a replacement, the Steelers were unable to seal the deal. The good news is that the current group of wide receivers has shown improvement under Russell Wilson as quarterback. However, the bad news hit this week. Johnson was traded again, this time to none other than our division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. This trade caught many fans and players by surprise, and to make it even more concerning, it comes just before we face the Ravens twice between now and the end of December. With the AFC North race tighter than ever, this move could be a game-changer in the fight for the division crown. To understand the impact of this move, we need to talk about the reaction from Steelers defensive captain, Cameron Heyward. On his podcast, Not Just Football with Cam Heyward, Cam was informed of the trade by co-host Hayden Walsh, and if you listened in, you could hear the frustration in his voice. An audible groan said it all. Heyward mentioned that while he knew Johnson wasn't coming back to Pittsburgh this season, he never expected him to strengthen a division rival. Walsh pointed out an interesting detail. In recent years, the Ravens have failed to fully utilize Lamar Jackson's passing game, making their offense more one-dimensional and dependent on Jackson's legs. With Johnson joining the roster, that could change significantly. Cam agreed, noting that Johnson is surely excited about this new opportunity. Who wouldn't be? He's moving from a team with a 1-7 record to one with a 5-3 record and real postseason aspirations. Let's be honest, Steelers Nation, this trade changes a lot for us. The Ravens now have an even stronger wide receiver core, and Deontay Johnson's ability to run short and intermediate routes could fit perfectly with Lamar Jackson's offensive scheme. Johnson has always been talented, no one questions that. During his time in Pittsburgh, he had moments of brilliance, but also moments of frustration. We remember the dropped balls at crucial times and the occasional temper outbursts that raised questions about his commitment to the team spirit. But now, with a fresh start in Baltimore, it's likely he'll rediscover his form and become the game-changing player we know he can be. For the Steelers, this means preparation for the upcoming games against the Ravens just got a lot more complicated. Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff will need to adjust the defensive game plan to deal with Johnson, who knows our playbook and weaknesses. This is the kind of move that can decide tight games and potentially playoff spots. The reality is that the Steelers have a tough road ahead. Our already challenging season just became more difficult with this addition to the Ravens. This is a moment to reassess our approach and make the necessary adjustments to face one of the most complete teams in the division. But don't think all is lost. With Russell Wilson at the helm and our current receivers showing growth, the offense has the potential to surprise. Wilson's experience is invaluable, and with the recent positive impact of new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, there is hope we can continue to improve. Our defense, led by Heyward, remains one of the best in the league and will need to be at its peak to take on Johnson and the Ravens' offense. On his podcast, Cam Heyward made it clear that he respects Johnson's talent and knows he could make a difference in Baltimore. But he also emphasized that the key for Pittsburgh now is to focus on what lies ahead. The bye week comes at the perfect time, allowing the team to regroup and prepare for the rest of the season, which includes all divisional matchups. As fans, it's natural to feel a mix of frustration and concern. Seeing a former Steeler join a rival is tough, especially when that player has enough talent to make an immediate impact. But this is also an opportunity to see how the team responds to the challenge and how the leadership of Tomlin, Heyward, and Wilson keeps the group focused and unified. Alright, Steelers Nation, I want to hear from you. Should we go all in and make a move for Courtland Sutton? Or do you think we should focus on other areas as we head into the toughest part of the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, if you enjoyed this breakdown and want to keep up with all things Steelers, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more updates, insights, and all the behind-the-scenes action you won't want to miss. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, here we go, Steelers.